All right, so here it is, the elbow room. I've had this little kit on my layout for years. It was made by a guy named Andre Garcia, and he ran a little outfit called Riverleaf Models, and they made these kind of small footprint O-scale buildings, sort of in the spirit of downtown deco. Only he used this nice high density MDF, so these kits could go together really quickly and very crisp. Although you still get this nice, urban detail that you can kind of pick and poke on, to get your distressed effects. These are really neat kits, and they've been out of production for quite a while. I was lucky enough to buy a couple when he was still running things. And what I want to do with this is set it up with kind of a mild interior, a nice bar running the length of it, with a few patrons in there, and I realized over the years on this front window, I had this protective film on it, and it's pretty cool. Once I peeled it off, I realized how clear it was, so I like the effect of that. It's sort of a glass block look on there, but you can still see through it. So I'm going to work on making an interior with some 3D printed parts, some nice LED soft mood lighting. And on the back side, I'm going to do sort of a lean-to because it needs a rear entrance, and it possibly, could be like a bathroom or a little kitchen area out back. You probably won't see it that much because of the way the building sits on the layout, but it should add some value to the building anyway. And so I'm going to get into it, trying to decide what else I want to do to it. Maybe a ghost sign along this wall. I'll have to play with the stucco. I'll have to put some of it back. And I still want some broken out brick, but it'd be cool to have like some old ghost sign done with like a decal. So anyway, let's get to it. I'm going to start designing the interior, and we'll get into that. I'm glad when I built this building, I left the roof removable. I probably had plans at one time to just put a light in here, but now that I'm pretty dangerous with a 3D printer, I can make a nice little interior and have nice access to stuffing all the details in there. It looks like it came out pretty good. This is the lean-to extension. Let's see what we got. Came out pretty good. Even the chimney straight. Windows are fully defined. This is like a first try attempt too, man. Pretty stoked. So here's what I got so far for the elbow room. I'm starting to benefit from the economies of scale of all my past printing efforts. So I've got some doors that I just slightly modified. And here's the bar basically, and the beer taps from my Bessemer bar build. And this time I kind of did a single print here. I put some beer mugs and some beer bottles on the bar. So if I'm good when I paint this, I'll have some clear mugs and some maybe clear green bottles. So it'll go generally something like this. And I'll use some of the stools that I printed. I've got about a half dozen of these left from the Bessemer effort. So I'm just trying to decide right now. I'm going through my Clever Models collection again, trying to decide what I want for wall covering, if I'm going to paint or kind of do this kind of wainscoted look, I guess. I might just go for this. It'll speed the project along, that's for sure. And I'll probably go with a black checkerboard floor. All right, so here's how the interior's shaping up. Just a real simple print here, and it'll go right inside like that. Got a little bit of beer signage in there. And I used some more of my Clever Models interior prints. You can see I added some, just spackled some of this stucco back onto the side of the building in preparation for my painted sign I want to do. So here's the lighting assembly. So I'll figure out a way to put this in here, maybe just have it rest on a couple supports. So I've decided what the sign's going to be, and right now I'm just prepping the front here to apply my decal. So because it's a white lettering decal, I have to paint white onto the brick so it comes through, because the white just does not print on these decals. So I'm about to lay this on, and let's see how it comes out. All right, so it's not terrible. A little concerned about the right side there, kind of broke up on me, but it kind of looks cool. Nothing I can't really fix with paint. So the idea with using a decal is I really wanted to make it look like a painted sign, so it'll conform to the brick surface pretty nicely, as you can see. And once I'm done with the paint and weathering effects on it, I'll clear coat it, kind of like this one here. That's got to get done still. It should look natural. It should look like a hand-painted sign. I went with this design because I wanted to complement this porthole on the front door. So I'm going to settle it in. I'm going to paint a little more micro set on it, and see if I can get it to lay down, let it dry, and then finish it up. I pretty much use the same techniques for the Yingling script sign on this broken stucco, and it was a little bit more of a challenge trying to get that decal laid on there, and then I had to cut some of it away to make it look like it went for the ride with the lost stucco there. Here I'm starting to assemble the interior just to get a feel for what it's going to look like. And I had a little bit of trouble with the beer mugs and beer bottles. I ended up stripping them off and made separate resin prints. And I also, at this point, started playing around with the figures I was going to use. And I recycled a few from the Mercer Cafe effort. So this next segment I'll talk about the first go around with the resin printed figures I was going to use, and then what I came up with after. All right, I decided I was just going to try to reprint these two little guys, about 10% bigger, just to kind of match up on this Artista figure here. Not that it really matters, you won't even really see him anyway, but it's pretty trivial to rescale this stuff in the slicer. So again, these were made, I talked a little bit about this in my last video. These were made with Blender, using a plugin for Blender called Make Human, and it's kind of interesting. This is very early on in experimenting with this stuff. There's some limited choices as far as the clothing. I guess there's some clothing models, maybe You know, if you're good enough, you could make your own. But right now, I was just playing around with some default stuff I found. And, you know, you can kind of create the figure using attribute sliders and things like that. And then you can rig and pose and position them. And as you can see, I got kind of good enough, dangerous enough to get them into these positions here. So anyway, that'll replace these two guys, I think. These guys are pretty tiny, probably like S scale. Anyway, I also changed bottle versus mug here. I thought that guy looked better holding it up. So it'll match the size of this Artista figure a little better, I think. Although you probably might never see these guys sitting in the back here, so. All right, so it's time to start doing the final assembly on this. So this is just gonna slip right in here like this. And that's it. All right, here's the scene so far. Right now I'm gonna make my gooseneck fixture for the outside. So I have an 0402 LED here. This is how I buy them sometimes. And then I soldered some 32 gauge magnet wire to the ends there. And I finally got to use this low melt liquid solder or solder paste. I've had this around for a while, been meaning to try it. It actually worked pretty good. I didn't even change the tip of my soldering iron. Usually I have a kind of a pencil tip. Anyway, let me set these leads up. And I can't tell what the polarity is from here because it kind of fluxed over. But let's get this working. All right, so it works. The reason for using the 32 gauge magnet wire is it's the only stuff that has a chance of getting pushed through these goosenecks. And I have to admit, I forgot how I made these. One of my first narrated YouTubes was about making home-brewed LED lighting fixtures for my car shop there. So I don't know. This is how I did it. I kind of forgot the steps as to making these with efficiency. So luckily, I'm only going to make one here. But I think next time I have to figure out the length. I run the wires through it and then bend the gooseneck shepherd's hook thing or whatever to shape after I'm done. And in any case, I'll CA this lampshade on. This is an old white metal keel line, I think now made by Scale City Models. That's where I get them from. So that'll be our light fixture for outside. All right, so it works. And just got to get a little paint on it and get this ready to install on the layout. All right, so just a few last minute touches. I got a nice shelf in there with beer mugs behind the bartender and just a few more signs from my collection. So that's about it. It's about ready to go on the layout. And I tried 3D printing some cases of beer here, complete with carry handles. So I'm going to play around with these. I probably should have printed the bottles separately, but this is what we got so far. So I'm going to try to make this work, get a little more paint on it. They're going to just be, you know, stacked outside the door or on the side of the building in the alley. So they're just kind of scene details. They don't have to be perfect, but if I do these again, I'll make the bottles separate. All right, so getting ready to put it on the layout. And it's going to go over right here, right by the Mercer Cafe. This little spot carved out for it. So I'm going to get back there and get to work. So here's the spot here. I don't have a whole lot of site prep to do, really, other than maybe scrape the ground cover down a little more and drill a hole in the correct spot for the LED leads. And just some minor detailing here. I'm not going to go too overboard. I think this section of town here, like I said, there's going to be some more work here, hopefully in the near future. Kind of thinking about replacing this old downtown deco building. And we'll see. But right now my goal is to get the new elbow room, or the remodeled elbow room, in place. Had some guests over viewing the layout not too long ago. I wanted to show how I did some of my buildings, and I've had this under my layout for quite a long time now. This was on my old Greenbrook layout, and this is the terminal warehouse, Greenbrook Terminal Warehouse. It's based on the Great Lakes Terminal Warehouse, which is still standing in Toledo, over by the Toledo Union Station. The sign there is pretty well faded now. This never did make it onto this layout. All right, so it's early evening here in Northbrook. Looks like the elbow room is now open for business. I got a little bit of stuff to do around here. Some minor ground cover, and then I have some street details selected for the scene. And I think that'll be it. I may move that utility pole there off to the right. I'll show you why in a minute here, but so far I think this is gonna work out pretty good. There's a comment made in the Bessemer Bar video about there should be a guy shaving in the mirror in this bathroom on the second floor apartment. So there he is. I 3D printed this guy as part of my kind of 3D printed figure experiments. And you can actually see his reflection in the mirror in there. Yeah, I may move that utility pole over just a bit, just because the viewing angle that I expect most people would see this from is kind of blocked by it. So I don't know, I might move it up the hill a little ways. Let's see. Here's a downhill view. All right, so here's the completed scene. I think I'm gonna stop here. I think I got enough going on. I don't know what's next. I'm thinking some building projects in this area. Also got some rolling stock and locomotive projects that are building up. But I think this was a pretty good rework. I kind of like the way that Yingling ghost sign kind of faded into the side of the building there, and it looks like something you'd discover on the way into a town you might be checking out or something. And I think it's a good spot for it. I'll show you some of the other details I did a little closer here. Thought I'd just leave you with a slightly closer look at the elbow room before we end this. And I don't know what these two are talking about out front here, but hopefully some canine to human wisdom is shared. You can see my beer crates there. I ended up decaling those Yingling stickers on there, and they came out okay. I'll try again on them, but anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.